I was at my usual coffee shop. Same time, same drink, iced latte, less sugar, nothing special, until something did feel special. The new barista handed me my drink, smiled warmly, and said, "Latte for the guy who always looks like he's deep in thought." She let her eyes linger for just a second longer. There was a little laugh in her voice, not forced, not fake, just different. I smiled back and thanked her. But on my walk home, that moment kept replaying in my head. Was she just being nice? Or was she actually flirting with me? That moment at the cafe, it kept looping in my mind all afternoon. And honestly, it wasn't the first time I've felt that way. I started to realize just how often this question shows up in my life. Little interactions that leave a strange mark on me. A friend once told me, "You've got that kind of quiet charm that sneaks up on people." She said it casually, almost like a joke. But I remember how my chest fluttered for a second. Was that just a compliment, or was she trying to tell me something? Another time, a colleague laughed at one of my stories and touched my arm gently. It felt natural, not forced. But again, my brain kicked in with, is she always like this, or is she showing interest? And then there was someone I knew online. We didn't talk every day, but now and then. She'd send me TikToks around midnight, funny ones. Personal ones, sometimes she'd say, "This is so your vibe." And I'd lie there in bed wondering, was she just sharing something nice with a friend, or was she trying to stay connected? I started to feel like I was always caught in this fog, somewhere between hope and confusion, because here's the truth no one really talks about. Flirting and friendliness can wear the same mask. They both smile. They both compliment you. They both make you feel seen. But it's the energy behind it, the intention, that changes everything. And the problem is we rarely get to see that part. Sometimes I'd convince myself it was nothing. Just politeness, just kindness. I didn't want to assume too much. Other times, I'd catch myself hoping too hard, clinging to a tiny moment and replaying it. Like it held the answer to a question I was too afraid to ask. And that's when it finally hit me. This wasn't about decoding other people. This was about learning how to listen to myself. Why did I feel confused? Why did I care so much about whether it was flirting or not? Because deep down, I wasn't just trying to read someone else. I was trying to figure out if I was even open to connection in the first place. Once I realized how often I felt confused in these kinds of interactions, I decided to actually learn about the psychology behind flirting and friendliness. I didn't want to just guess anymore. I wanted to understand. So I started paying closer attention, not just to what people were doing, but to how it felt in the moment. And slowly, I began to notice the patterns. 1. Context matters more than you think. If someone is in a role where kindness is expected, like a barista, a teacher, or even a coworker, their warmth might simply be part of the environment. But when someone goes beyond that, like remembering your drink from weeks ago, or reaching out to check in just because, that's no longer just polite. That's intentional. I started asking myself, would they do this with anyone? And if the answer was no, that said something. 2. Friendly feels light. Flirting feels electric. There's a tone shift that happens when someone is flirting. It's not always obvious, but there's this emotional undercurrent, a spark, a charge. I remember a coworker once said, "You really crushed that presentation. You're so confident up there." Her voice dropped just slightly. There was a pause after the compliment, a look, a silence. I felt it not in my head but in my chest. Friendliness lifts you up. Flirting pulls you in. 3. Friendly compliments feel general. Flirty ones feel personal. You did great. That's friendly. I couldn't stop watching you. There's something about the way you speak. That's flirting. I noticed this when someone teased me once. When I tripped over my own foot, they said, "You're kind of adorable when you're awkward." Then smiled and looked straight into my eyes. I laughed it off. but later that night I couldn't stop thinking about it. 4. Flirting is exclusive. Friendly is shared. I watched how they treated others. Were they this warm with everyone? Or was there something they only did with me? If it felt like I was getting something custom built, that wasn't just friendliness. That was connection. That was flirtation. These small differences changed the way I saw every social moment. It wasn't just about decoding others. It was about being present enough to notice intention. And in the process, I got a little closer to understanding what I truly wanted, too. Even after learning all those signs, even after reading about tone, body language, and emotional intent, I still caught myself wondering way too often, was that real or just in my head? I'd leave a conversation replaying every glance, every word, every tiny detail, like I was trying to solve some emotional math equation, and it was exhausting. That's when a friend gave me one simple mental trick. She said, "Imagine someone else doing the exact same thing. Would you still think it was flirting?" At first, I didn't get it, but then I tried it. I went back to that moment with the barista. She smiled. She made a small joke. She held eye contact. It felt special in the moment, but I imagined her saying the same thing to the next 3 people in line. Would it still feel like she was flirting? No. In that context, I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it. So maybe that moment wasn't about her. It was about me. That's when something clicked. Sometimes I read into people's actions because I wanted it to mean something. Other times, I tried to downplay what happened because I was scared it might mean something. And both reactions said more about me than about them. The truth is, when you're craving connection, you're more likely to see interest even when it's not there. But when you're afraid of intimacy, you're more likely to miss real connection even when it's staring you in the face. That's why this trick matters. It helps you step back, not to judge yourself, but to create space between what happened and what you feel happened. It helps you listen more clearly to your body, to your nervous system, to your gut. Does this feel safe? Does this feel exciting? Does it feel confusing or kind? The more I ask those questions, the less pressure I felt to get it right. Because flirting isn't a puzzle to solve, it's a feeling to experience. And sometimes it's okay to just be in that moment, even if you don't know what it means yet. So now, when I catch myself spiraling into, was that flirting? I slow down, I breathe, I observe, and I respond to what feels real, not just what I hope is real. I still don't always know when someone's flirting, and honestly, I think that's okay, because the goal isn't to decode every person perfectly. It's to stay connected to myself while I'm connecting with someone else. Now, when I feel that spark, I don't rush to label it. I let myself feel it, curious, open, calm, and when someone's just being friendly, I let that be enough too, because not every kind gesture is romantic. But every moment of genuine connection is still something valuable. What changed isn't that I became an expert at reading people. What changed is that I became more honest with myself. I stopped looking for signs to prove something and started looking inward to ask, what do I want? Am I ready for connection? Am I afraid of it? So now I don't obsess over what every smile or compliment means. If it feels warm, I let it warm me. If it feels real, I stay with it. And if it grows into something more, I welcome it. And if it doesn't, that's okay too, because clarity doesn't come from reading minds. It comes from being honest with your own. If you've ever been in my shoes, wondering what that smile meant, replaying a single moment over and over, you're not alone. Leave a comment and tell me your story. How do you tell the difference between flirting and friendliness? If this video helped bring you clarity, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. And if you want more videos like this, check out our next one, 7 Subtle Flirting Tips If You Fear Rejection. I'll see you there.